Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my humble home, my humble casa here in Livingston, Montana. Okay, what I've got going on here is another one of these boring knife reviews. But relax, because I think this is going to be one of the last knife reviews I do for a while. And why do I say that? Because I'm knife broke. Or something to that effect, Okay, let's get on with this. I got another lovely one of these. Columbia River Knives and Tools. What does it say on the end of this? Now pay attention here. This is a model 5401. It is a seismic deadbolt. That's the name of it. And it's got a special locking mechanism called a deadbolt. Now, I'm really not going to do a review on this. It's more of a rebuttal from things I've heard from other reviewers that I totally disagree with. Okay, before I get started in, and that's not to say you're stupid or anything like that. I just disagree with some of the reviews on this particular knife. Okay, before I get started though, I want to give a shout out to Columbia River Knives and Tools for allowing the development of this particular knife. I've been waiting for years for a piece like this to come along. And I also want to get a shout out, let me get his name right, Flavio Icoma. That's the guy, he's a Brazilian. He's the guy that designed this particular piece. Flavio Icoma. Okay. Now, like I say, this is mostly a rebuttal. And, for things that I have heard on YouTube here that I just plain and simple disagree with. Okay, I snagged the piece out of this box, you guys have seen them boxes before. Okay, here is the piece. Now look, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm not looking up any numbers or nothing, but closed, we got about 5.5 inches on this guy. 5.5 inches closed, and I know that the blade is 4 inches long. There's a lot of people that are complaining that this knife is too big. Well, this is what I've got to tell you. Don't buy it if you think it's too big. But keep this in mind. I'm an outdoorsman of 50 years, and I know this. Okay, when you've got a big cutting job to do, there's no such a thing as a big knife. But there is such a thing as a knife that's too small. Did you catch that? There is such a thing as a knife that's too small for the job. But there's not such a thing as too big of a knife. Not really. Okay. Now, to tell you the absolute truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, I bought this knife specifically because of this deadbolt design, and a lot of you guys have seen it. You can look it up. There's exploded diagrams of this deadbolt and all that other stuff. I probably can't explain it real well about tearing the knife apart. Okay. And the number two reason is the steel that Columbia River Knives and Tools used in this particular knife. And by the way, this knife is it said on the box there, made in Taiwan, not China, for a welcome change. But the steel that's in this particular knife right here, this steel right here is German stainless 1.4116. Now, I've heard a lot of people, they'll give a big long review and they'll say, well, I really don't know about that, this German stainless crappy, cheap, 1.4116 steel and all that other stuff. Let me tell you what, you're looking at one old guy here that does know about this particular steel. Okay, if you can't understand this particular steel in any other fashion, you look at it this way. This steel is basically the European steel that they use for their butcher knives, for their kitchen knives. Like Hinkle's, that name comes to mind real quick. They use 1.4116. Why do I know that? Because my wife has got a set that I've sharpened many, many times. Now ask yourself, A lot of people are going around parading around these EDCs and claiming that they have to have this and they got to have a certain shape on the handle, and the knife's got to have really expensive steel in it, and they go on and on and on like that. Let me ask you, kind ladies and gentlemen, how often does your wife or your significant other, how much does your butcher knives get used in your home? Besides probably 10 to 20 times more than your expensive EDC. Yeah, I want that to soak in, because I know how much my wife uses her knives, and them Hinkles that I got, I know exactly what it takes to sharpen them. Sure, they're fairly easy to sharpen, but they stay sharp for quite a while. I'm going to tell you what the secret is. This German stainless 1.4116. The secret is how well they tempered this blade. That's really the secret. This is not junky steel. This is actually pretty good steel, and one of the reasons why I purchased this knife. Simple as that. Okay. Now, I don't know if I've been in focus here or not, probably not, because I've been waving this thing all over the place. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better here. Right there. There you go. Icoma Design, Seismic, and all that. And there's the model number. Right. Come on, Jim. Right down there. See it? 5401. Okay. Now, here's another thing I want to say about this knife. People are whining and griping about the cost of this. Right now, and by the way, it is the 4th of February, 2021. I had to think there for a minute. And you can get this on Amazon I wrote this down, for $93.16. I ordered this knife a week ago and paid $96. Because there's all kinds of people bellowing about the fact that this knife costs $120. If you watch the sales, no, it doesn't. Okay? And what else was I going to gripe about? Okay, here's another thing. I'll try to give you a better look. You see this little tiny screw right there where my fingers, that guy. I can't believe the amount of people I see fumbling around with the lock screw and this other screw over here thinking that's the D10 adjustment. It's not. The D10 adjustment, boy, this thing's so backwards to me, I can't even believe it, is right there. This guy back over here. Right there. Right between my fingers. Right there. And you can't back that out all the way. You'll strip things out. You can only back it out so far, and you can only turn it in so far. But that's where the D10 adjustment's at. Okay, I've heard people bellow about everything when it comes to this knife. Too big, handles unwieldy, not shaped, it's got hot spots and all this other stuff. A lot of this stuff is baloney. I know a good knife when I see one, and this is a good knife. And I'm sending kudos out, if you will, to Columbia River Knives and Tools for developing this thing. It's just that simple. Okay, and what else I got to say? Okay, that's all that I really got to complain about. But the deadbolt, I can't really show you that. This is part of it. If you can see that, this has got 2 pins. I said pins that go in here like this and lock up that blade. And lock through the blade, and one of the pins locked through both of the liners. So it's my understanding you almost have to break this knife in order to break that deadbolt. Okay? And over here on this other side, you push in on this to release the deadbolt. Got it? Let me show you that again. You push on this right here, I'll show you. Let me turn this around. I'm going to end up getting my fingers cut if I'm not careful. Okay. Oops, I was standing on top of the knife. Sorry, not standing, but I had my head. But it flicks open pretty good. You can flick it open this way right here or with these thumb studs, all right? you got G10 on both of these. Let me get this up here so you can see some. On both sides, you got G10, and yes, the handle is kind of a little weird feeling, but not so weird to me. A lot of people are screaming about the fact that these edges are a little rough. The end of the knife's too long. Now look, I've got medium-sized hands, and here we go. And yeah, there's about an inch sticking out here, but it doesn't bother me. This end spacer right here, this back spacer, I think is aluminum. That doesn't bother me. This blade, as near as I can see, is a flat grind. I've heard people say saber grind, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's a flat grind. Go ahead and look at it, see what you think. And we got a little choiling right here. The choiling on this could be a little bit bigger, I suppose. And, I personally like this shape. It dips down here a little bit, and then it kind of drops down to a drop point. But this particular shape on this knife, I like a lot. I've always liked knives like this. Okay, let me try to get this up here a little bit better so you can see it. But you remember what I said, there's no such a thing as a knife too big for the job, in my humble opinion. Okay, but that's just my opinion for things. You can believe whatever you want to. But personally myself, when it comes to, I'm trying to get this in some kind of focus here. But anyway, I wasn't going to focus very well there at all. Maybe if I take this down, it will. But this particular knife here weighs like a little over 6 ounces. I have a knife. It's an off-grid that's heavier than this guy right here. So, but the one thing about it, this clip is a little on the small side. This pocket clip. So I think what I'm going to do in the future is just take this pocket clip off and put this in a nice leather sheath and wear it on my side like that, But I know doggone well that I got this in the mail today, but I didn't do an unboxing simply because I wanted to mess around with it there, get a little used to it and see, because like I say, some of the reviewers that have reviewed this knife, I disagree with what they're saying. And I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And, if you're interested in this piece, there's stats all over the place. I don't need to sit here. I mostly just need to tell you what I think I like about this knife, which I don't think I know. Yes, this fits my hands real well. The only hot spot I'm feeling is possibly might be that clip. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with this knife. This is a big, heavy-duty, get the job done, stop screwing around, stop burning daylight with some little tiny piece of junk that ain't going to get the job done. It's as simple as that, And do I work for Columbia River Knives and Tools? No. Kind of wish I did, But anyway, this is a model 5401 seismic deadbolt. Okay, and I don't exactly know how thick this steel is in here. You can look it up and all that other stuff. It's got a finger flipper right there and tabs right there, as you can well see. So, let me here. See, I just caught myself reaching for a liner lock right there, but this guy right here, you just barely push that in and close her, and then use this finger flipper here and open it up. And push in the blade right here. You can and just close her on up. Open it. Close it. Open it. Close it. I didn't want to flip it too hard. Matter of fact, I just got this into When I got this into the house about a half an hour ago, and it's really cold up here in Livingston, Montana. And this thing wasn't one to open and close very well because that's how cold it is. But I warmed her up a little bit. But anyway, this particular knife right here, this Columbia River Knives and Tool Seismic Deadbolt, gets my stamp of approval. It's just that simple. Okay, what do we got here? 15 minutes going up on 16 minutes. That'll be good enough because I mostly wanted to refute a few things I've heard. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take care of yourselves. We shall see you on down the trail. And when it comes to this world of cutlery, like I say, these knives are a dime a dozen. Some of them are good, and some of them are not so good. But this is a good knife. It's got my stamp of approval. Simple as that. Okay, right now we got about 16 minutes. It's time for me to go. Adios, my friends.